Hey everybody, welcome to Leading Through Change in the Lunch and Learn series, 30 minutes to empower you to think about how you can, as an individual, lead change. So navigating uncertainty, building resilience, and communicating effectively. This is by far one of the biggest topics that I get asked to run when I come into businesses and organizations is, can you teach my people how to lead through change? So today in this session, what we'll be looking at is giving you the tools, really, the tools, some of the tools and techniques. And I've got three things to share with you, and then how you can actually use those to navigate change effectively. And then we'll finish with a bit of resistance to change, and then look at the other things there. So let's get into it. So it's really interesting when we ask people like, who wants change? And you can see it in the pitch here, all their hands go up. Maybe they're fed up with the status quo. They want some sort of change to happen. They get bored. But then when change does actually happen, everyone disappears. And there is resistance to change, resentment, denial, anger, frustration. Where the heck is this change plan? So the realities are a lot different to the perception within that. So if you think about this one here, right, change is always there. Change is always going to happen. It's inevitable. But if you think about how you and I term this up in leadership, I do a lot of leadership work and work with organizations. Um, but we're talking about individual leadership, right? For you to individually lead through change, that's a choice, right? And because you have a choice, that's a positive thing. So we're going to be looking at that today, and I'll give you some tools for you to actually take hold of that and have it as a choice. So you're leading yourself through change rather than being led through change, if that makes sense. I think sometimes, if especially in my experience, if you're a passenger in change, you're always waiting for things to happen. So what we're going to do is turn you into a catalyst. We're going to turn you into a change agent from that as well. And again, like I said, this is only half an hour. Usually, I run these for between 3.5 hours, so like half a day to one day, and then embed it in an organization who's going through change as well. So we look at some of these principles. So this is like a bit of a top level. So what are the three C's of change? For you to navigate effectively through change, and let's take about this personally, you need to have clarity. Like, where are we going? Where is the destination? What's the vision? Even if it is uncertain, we need to state that. We need to be really obvious. Provided we've got that clarity, we're just going to get there because that takes away all the uncertainty of that. So if you're an individual, you need to seek that clarity, right, by asking really great questions. If you're a leader, you need to provide that clarity, and that comes in form of your communication. We'll talk about that a bit later. The second one is, look, there's a really great Stoic philosophy, and I don't know if you listen to or watch any Ryan Holiday stuff, but that too shall pass. That is such a powerful passage. That too shall pass. Remain calm, and the challenge that you're feeling, the uncertainty, that will pass and will be left, and then in 2, 3 years' time, you won't even think about that. So by remaining calm, it actually gives you the confidence for you to then move forward. And then it actually builds your own personal trust as well. And if you're a leader within that, you need to instill that confidence by talking confidently. And then the final one is that consistency. As humans, we like consistent. We like, we're very habitual. We like routine. So what we need to do is build that routine into our change, right? Because we need to be able to maintain, that steadiness and stability through consistent communication. So we've got clarity. So for you as a leader, you need to provide that clarity, or you need to seek the clarity if you are navigating change. Number two is confidence. So as a leader, you need to remain calm, that too shall pass, and project confidence. And then as an individual, that too shall pass. We need to remain calm, not get too high, not get too low. I'll explain about that later. I've got a really great tool for that one. And then the final one, as a leader, in terms of consistency, the same message, repeat, repeat, repeat. For you as an individual, we do we love routine. I think some statistics are that 90% of things that we do is just a habit. It's just a routine. So we need to be able to maintain that as we go because we like predictable. It's safe, right? If it's not predictable and it's not safe, we're going to be firing off all these neurons of fight, flight, or freeze response. And then as a result, we are going to then clam up and we're going to become very insular and we're not going to be trust anything, right? So we need to be consistent within that. So here is the first tool that I want to help you with, right? Is think about this. And it comes back to leadership is a choice. So for you as an individual, leadership is a choice, right? So this is what happens. Stuff happens, change happens, mergers, acquisitions, redundancies, restructures. It all happens, and then we have a reaction, and then that becomes very reactive. So, as an example, we have a restructure. Oh my God, I'm being made redundant. Oh, I can't believe this, and we overreact. However, you need to think about this model now. So stuff is always going to happen. Things are always going to be there, but we have a choice, right? And that choice is how we decide to respond. Now, we've got a choice how we decide to respond on anything, right? So for example, if oh no, redundancy, interesting. What's good about this? Okay, well, it's going to give me a chance to start a new business. I wasn't really that happy before, so maybe I have to look for new jobs. Hey, am I entitled to redundancy payout? Is there any transition support with a recruitment agency? So that is actually already looking above the line, so you're a little bit more steady and your emotions are not going too high and too low. Now, is it okay for you to have an emotional outburst? Yeah, absolutely. Frustration, tears, 100%. But then it's like, okay, how do I now then decide to respond to this situation? And that becomes very proactive, apart from the E, apart from the E down there. And this is I use this model every single day. And it's big and it's called above or below the line. You can Google this. There's some really great videos within that as well. And within this model, you have obviously the green is above the line, so being proactive, and then below the line is being very reactive. So if you think about this and looking at it change specifically, right? Proactive people, we have a vision, a purpose, a goal, priority. We have clarity. We take ownership, right? So we decide to seek clarity. We decide to gain more confidence and trust. We take responsibility over the things that we can do, and we're accountable for our actions. And then change paradigm. That's your mindset, or the way you think. We need to change that as needed. So we need to be a little bit more flexible here. We need to be a little bit more structured and routine here, and we need to send a message here. So this is the script that I need to do. And then we can flip back between. Most people who are above the line are looking at options, alternatives, solutions, can-do attitude. That's the biggest one. Their can-do attitude. Whereas reactive people, obviously below the line, right? So no purpose vision, always waiting for other people, blaming others and circumstances for where they are, often making excuses. Oh, I've got not enough time, or why does this always happen to me? Yada, yada, yada. I've seen this, right? Now that's a victim mentality, right? So if you're blaming others, not taking responsibility, this is the choice now. That is reactive. So you are reacting to this. You're not thinking and going, okay, what is good about this situation? Look, I know it's hard when you are in those situations. I've been made redundant 3 times. No fault of my own, but the first time was was a choice that I overreacted a little bit, but then it came back to me. It's like, okay, what can I do now? If you then stay below the line too often, it becomes very negative, very toxic, and then we end up, potentially with mental health issues and difficulties further down the track, right? So the way to use this is to look at that line and go, right, where am I today? So when you step into work and it's very uncertain, there's lots of change. Where am I today? Am I on the line? Am I above the line or am I below the line? And what you can do in here, you can actually add another layer, right? So you can go boom, and you can have +10 on here. So am I feeling a +10? You got 5 obviously in the middle, and then you got -5, and then -10. So what you could do, like the reality of this pretty much is as you go through the day, you can say, where am I? Well, today I'm starting just here. I'm a 0 because I woke up and it's okay. And then I got a free coffee, great. So I'm a +4. And then I got into work. My manager brought me in the office. I wasn't feeling great. That's a 1. And then and then they told me I'm going to be made redundant. It's like a -2. And then I talked to somebody else in the office and look, I'm a -5 now. And then I can't believe this has happened to me. It always happens to me. I'm a -10. And then I'm going to go out. I'm going to drink loads, eat unhealthy, not get enough sleep. And the next morning when you wake up, you're probably going to be like a -2. It's crap, and you don't know what's going to happen. So the reality is that you could actually go like all the way through the day like this. But it's really important. This is the choice. The choice is I'm going to stop now. I'm going to pause. Where am I? Am I here? Okay. So if I'm at -2, what do I need to do to push it above the line? Now, certain people use different things. Personally, I use exercise, or I go out for a walk, or I listen to music. And you can do the same, right? Whatever makes you happy, gives you some positive vibes. Maybe it's meditation, maybe it's positive affirmations, maybe it's talking to people, maybe it's even eating liver chocolate. Whatever it is, to then go here. The idea of this one is we need to stop ourselves at -2, push ourselves up, and stop ourselves going down. Okay. We do that by taking ownership, taking responsibility, having a purpose, vision, and goals. I see too often, this is one of the biggest ones is here. No one has that. So when you're -2, who's going to tell you, oh, I don't know, I'm just going to go down and up and down and up. But, and that's the reality of it. Below the line, you don't get as good results. Above the line, you get a lot better results. You feel a lot better about yourself. Okay. So, my days go like this, up and down, up and down, up and down. But because I've been doing this for many years, these downs now, they never get to a -10, right? Never get to -10. I have these things called red flags. So once I start going down, like here, I'm like, oh no, my thought pattern's going down. I'm not doing what I should be doing. Right. I need to get back on the horse. Right. I need to go out for a walk. I need to stand up from my desk. I need to go out and talk to somebody. And that'll stop me going further down. And then I'll push it up. And alternatively, I won't get too high because I know that too shall pass. Right. So these are the fleeting moments. And what we're trying to do is keep it like here. Right. Right in this sort of band, just there. Will you ever be a +10? Yeah, 100%. Is it realistic to be +10 all the time? Is completely unrealistic. Maybe eternal optimists, but deep down they're not +10. So it does fluctuate, and then there's the pressure then to be +10 all the time, and then that has its own ramifications from there as well. So just a bit of a really good tool. I use this every single day with my personally with my clients, all sorts. So let me get rid of all of this stuff here. We get rid of that. Right. Oh, hold on. Bin. Clear all drawings. There we go. Great. Okay. So we got above and below the line. The next thing that we're looking at is a circle of concern and influence. You may have heard of all of this. This is the second habit from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the secret to life, and time management and emotions and relationships is contained within 2 circles. So we've got the circle of concern. So if you write down all the things in life that concern you, you've got politics, the elections, you've got Trump, Putin, you've got state of the economy, the housing crisis, all those things that are on the news. They're obviously all concern you. Maybe it's your children, your school, your sports, all that, your health. Those all that concern you. They're all gonna now. What I want you to think about is what are those things that you can do something about. So in that circle, you want to be highlighting all those things that you can do something about. And that's a circle of influence, right? So can you do anything about Trump? No, apart from don't look at the news. The war in Ukraine, can you do anything about that? No. Can you do anything about the housing crisis? Can you do anything about the weather? about the economy. So we need to pick and choose. Can you do something about your health? Absolutely. Let's focus on that. Can you do something about your kids? Absolutely. Let's do that. What about your mindset? Yeah, absolutely. What about going to work and the change that's happening? What can you influence there? Write it down, because by the act of focusing on those things that you can influence, your circle of concern actually gets smaller, because those things that you're focusing on get bigger. So you become more proactive, so you can actually lead through change. If you're not getting an answer from the organization, ask your boss. If you're not getting from your boss, go to the next manager above. Get some clarity on where you need to go. If you don't, you're stuck in this circle of concern and you're waiting for things to happen to you. So we need to be able to focus on the things that we can do to increase our circle of influence, to decrease the circle of concern. So we're actually in a positive mindset. So we're above the line more often than not. Okay. So combine that with above and below the line, and you've got a really powerful strategy for you to navigate change, and change is throughout the whole life. Okay. Um, an example of the circle of concern would be gossiping, right? Gossiping, gossiping, gossiping. Oh, have you heard this person's becoming redundant? Or, hey, this organization's coming in for us. Oh my God, have you heard, some such and such needs to be let go because of the redundancies, and or oh, we're moving from one location to another location. You're not going to get a parking space. We need to wear new uniforms. We're changing floors. Oh no, so those, and look, they're stressful, right? But in those circumstances, we need to focus on what we can do. Sometimes what we can do is go, okay, I don't want to hear that anymore. Okay, so we've changed the uniforms. Let's talk to our manager about it. Let's have a committee. Let's, try and figure out what we're going to use. We're moving floors. What part of that can I play? Can I get involved with that? So loads of different things that you can do to focus on your circle of influence on there. So, um, okay, cool. So that's a good one. Right. So yes, I used to. So if we're moving on and talking about building resilience, how do we do that? Yes, I was in the military, 12 years, and we would used to work on resilience all the time. And resilience is a muscle. So if you don't use it, yes, you're going to lose it. So we're looking at some skills and techniques that you've probably used in the past, maybe you've forgotten about, but it's around, where, and then we're combining these with the circle of concern and influence above and below the line, for us to be able to then build our resilience. And the way that you can do that is reframing, right? So micro shifts in resilience is around reframing. Now, what is reframing? It's taking the situation as an opportunity, not a threat. So let's say we're going to change floors, for example. So we used to be on like level 17. It had a great view. I had a desk that was, closer windows, could see it all over Sydney, for example. Now we're going down to level 13. Not a great view. And we're going to be close to the middle, which is by all the lifts and all the services and things like that. Now I could see that as like, oh my God, this is terrible. They can't do this. And I will be then seen as an outsider trying to push in and trying to negatively influence anybody. Will they give me any opportunities to help or for me to sculpt anything? Absolutely not. I'll be seen as a bit of a troublemaker. So now we need to sort of reframe and go, okay, this is an opportunity. If it's a threat and I get emotionally vested, that's going to rewire my brain chemistry in which more cortisol is going to be released. So cortisol is good. It's a stress hormone, but too much of it has a negative impact on our brain and our thinking, right? Because it so you got your prefrontal cortex at the front of your brain, and what the cortisol does and that's your executive function. So that is making decisions, thinking clearly, getting results, articulating where we want to go, making good decisions. Now, if it's full of cortisol because we're in this threat response, we have things like brain fog, blacking out, not being able to think clearly. You're like, oh my God, you can't even get your words out. So what we need to do straight away is just look at it as an opportunity, and then that cortisol is going to drain out, and then we're going to be able to think clearly, make logical decisions, think through data and everything. Then we need to look at, okay, what small action can I do to gain control and influence, right? So to influence other people. And then we need to celebrate that. in Australia, we're not very good at celebrating small wins, no matter how small it is, because we just another day, just get on with it. But if we don't, we're not actually giving ourselves a dopamine hit, and dopamine is really important in terms of feeling good, um, and motivation, right? So what we need to do is reframe to see about, okay, what is good about this situation? How can I help? It's an opportunity, not a threat. So we're priming our brains. Then we're taking small little actions to gain control, and they could be really small. Like every day when I walk in, I'm just gonna uh, think about my body language, and I'm going to walk around positive, right? Or when I start feeling a little bit fatigued, I'm going to go out for a walk. Or when I start feeling a little bit emotional, I'm just going to listen to some really positive music. Whatever that is for you, that works. And then we're going to reinforce that by celebrating these small little wins. I'm not saying go out and have a million beers or like takeaway curries or anything. It's just the small wins. So write it down. Hey, had a really good day today. Great ways, a gratitude journal would be a really good way for you to do that. So we've got reframing, very, very key in terms of resilience. When I was in the military, we used to reframe it all the time. When we're going into exercises or operations, we used to always see it as an opportunity. As soon as we've seen it as a threat, all your senses close down and you just focus on your fight and flight rather than thinking about it's almost like your situation. It is, well, it's not like it, it's your situational awareness. So if, for example, we're in the threat mode, we're unable to think about situational awareness, like where are we? Where is the enemy firing from? What are decisions I need to make now? Whereas when we were thinking about reframing that, we could then, think about our situational awareness, make better decisions, go in better directions from cover and fire and things. So um, when we're thinking around communicating, right? So if you're a leader, this is what we need to think about. The rule of three in clear communication. So number one, we need to tell people what's happening. And it needs to be factual. It needs to be evidence-based. Avoid loads, like I said, avoid loads of assumptions. We need to be like, hey, this is what's happening. And guess what? If nothing's happening, you need to tell people nothing's happening. Because in the absence of telling people what's happening, people are making things up and it becomes a rumor mill. And then that rumor mill grows and grows and grows. And before you know it, it's all gone completely out of control. And people are making stupid stories up about who's going, who's staying, who's got the car park, what levels they're on, who's losing their jobs, what the new restructure, where am I reporting into, and it becomes a complete disaster. So tell people exactly what's happening. If there's nothing happening, tell them nothing's happening, and tell them the next time you have an update. And then we need to so tell them what's happening. What does it mean for you, for us, for that person, right? Acknowledge the impact because believe it or not, even the smallest little thing like changing floor has a massive impact on people's days. Changing buildings, car parking, they need to, a new way of getting to work, timings, everything, right? Some people, especially with reporting lines, they used to report to the CEO. Now they're reporting to the COO. It's all these little things. We need to acknowledge that there could be an impact for people. Provide reassurance. What does that mean? That means each individual is different, so we need to identify the impacts for them and then what they need from that. And I've got another tool for that in a minute. And then clear outline into what's next. Okay, this is when we're going to have our next catch up, and this is what we're going to talk about. Here are the next steps. We're going to have time, action, 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 and then we're going to catch up then. That gives clarity, right? It gives confidence and certainty. So then we're going to then build up people's change muscles as well when they're doing that. So resistance to change. Not everyone's going to be on board with the changes that you have straight away. You will get some pushback. This is the change curve. It's also a bit like the Kubler-Ross grieving curve as well, right? So we have four distinct stages when it comes to change. So let's think about a restructure, for example, right? You've got here the time at the bottom and the confidence, morale, and workplace effectiveness on here. We've got four distinct stages. And you see this curve here. This is your journey through change, right? So the first stage we've got is denial. And there could be a bit of an uplift. Oh, I was waiting for that change. Great. Who wants change? Hands up. And then suddenly it's like, oh no, I didn't want this change. What? Oh, you mean I've got to move offices and move desks and move reporting lines? And what do you mean I've got no job left? I can't believe this. And then And then you have the next stage, which is exploring. So it's looking at the direction. Where we head from here? Where to from here? Okay, well, that means I need to get a new desk. Maybe I need a new job and new timings on trains and etc. etc. And then stage four is encouragement. Like I've actually accepted this now. So what does a new reality look like? Is it going to be that smooth? No, each person's going to go through there in their own time. But one of the things we need to think about is denial and anger is thinking about the past, right? So how has this affected me in the past? When I've been made redundant before, this is how it made me feel. Anchored to the past. 90% of the thoughts that we have, and we have between 40 and 60,000 thoughts a day, all based in the past, right? So we've got a propensity to think there. So what we need to do is we need to, in our communications and in your thinking, we need to manufacture more of this, thinking about the future. So setting goals, small little micro goals, having a vision and a direction to give clarity, and then giving people a part to play within that for them to go there. And you can see on here, stage one, people in denial, you need to give them the information, right? Here's why we're changing. Here's all the information you need for that one. Stage two is very individual. Like, what support do you need from me? Some people will be like, nothing, just let me get out of here. Tell me who I need to contact next. Other people, it's like, I don't know, I need to sit down and have a discussion. What does this mean? So, and look, anger is a strong emotion. You could be sadness, loss, frustration, resentment. You could be feeling in there. And then the exploring phase, like I said, setting goals, keeping people on track, celebrating the wins will get people up on there. When you look at, oops, let me just get my pen just on here. So, and it comes to this transition point. Give someone a goal. Here, go do this, go do that, go do this. And you give them like little goals as they go through. And what's going to happen is they'll do two and they go, oh, I told you it's not going to work. Okay, we'll try this. Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Oh, I'll do that one. Oh, no, I told you it's going to work. And do this one and do that one. Oh, I told you it's not going to work. And you're going to have this like cyclical cycle where people will go, and it's through the process of going through here that you're going to get to acceptance on here. I think people want the shortcut to go, yeah, this is the vision up here, and it's not going to work. So again, we need to have our own journeys on that one. And this here in terms of time, that could be anywhere from 2 days to 7 years. For some people, when I left the military, it was quite a long time for me. And I was down in here I was in these first two phases for a couple of years before I realized, oh, actually, there's other things beside the military. There's other jobs, and this is where I want to go. And then as soon as I had a plan, boom, off you go, off to the races, so to speak. So that's a really good way to think about it. Like I say, most people in denial and anger holding on. Middle part is letting go, and then we need to identify those people that need to move on. So look at that, almost 30 minutes. Off we go. So look, when you think about change, it is a process and it's a journey that we all go through. We need to really get clarity for us, set really clear goals, which then gives us confidence. And then we need to be consistent about that as well. We've talked about a couple tools within there. The circle of concern and influence are really key. And then above and below the line behaviors too, which I find every single day I use that, like I mentioned. And then we got the change curve, identify where you are on that journey and give yourself this either the support, the direction, the encouragement that you need to get through there. Everyone on your team or everyone around you is going through their own journey at their own pace. But what we need to do, we need to ask the questions to gain the clarity in the direction. And that is a first step for us to be able to navigate change effectively. So the next session, look, if I've got a change leaders toolkit, right? So if you're a leader, you can just email me or drop a note in the comment, and I'll email that straight to you. It's about 100, no, not 100 pages, about, I don't know, 60, 70 pages. It's got all the tools. If you're a team leader or in an organization to get you from A to B, loads of tools. And we only touched on a few of them in there as well. If you're going through change at the moment or want to discuss anything, you can book in 30 minutes to me to discuss on the website at the Performance Edge. .com.au, or you can find me on LinkedIn as well to book a 30-minute session to talk in that. Great thing is the next session. We're talking personal productivity, but we're unleashing the cognitive athlete. I'm writing a book at the moment. Actually, I've almost completed the book. It's going to be published by Wiley at the end of the year. So you're going to hear more about this if you follow me on LinkedIn or any social media platforms. And it's around personal productivity. So it's some real good tools because let's say as a professional, as an office worker, we use our brain more than we move. So it's around how do we train our minds, like athletes train their bodies to keep ourselves at cognitive high capacity, at high performance. And cognitive is around your mind, making better decisions, thinking clearly, being productive. So that's what we're going to be talking about in the next one, unleashing the cognitive athlete on you, for you. So here's all my details, like you would have known already. And I'll see you in the next Lunch and Learn. Thanks very much.